Welcome back to Patman Garage. I have a very special surprise today. We are going to go check out a local Coyote swap. So I figured I'd bring Fiddy along for the ride to see how she's doing, and have an unusually warm weather for end of January, beginning of February kind of time frame here. And like I said, we'll go hit the road and I'll let y'all come along for the ride.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see you continue making progress on this.
Oh, yeah.
When did you actually start the swap? Was it about a year ago?
July.
Okay.
Yeah, July.
It takes a long time. Everyone does these. Let me flip this around here. I'll just set it down here. Everyone does these YouTube videos on building cars, and you get something built in, like, 30-minute episode, right? And it's just like, wow, it's so cool they did that. And most people don't appreciate how much time it actually takes to do a build like this, that it's not a quick process. So.
The truck has been here in this shop since like July or August.
Okay.
So I'm actually pretty pleased with the amount of progress we've made on it. The shop here that we're in belongs to some friends of mine. I've known these guys for years. And one of the things I love about this shop is they really prioritize their customer cars. So, when mom and dad come in with their car where they used to daily drive and take the kids to school, go to work, the shop prioritizes those. So this truck project will sit for days and weeks at a time.
Back burner, which is expected. And when you're constantly ordering new fittings and you're trying new stuff, the combinations don't always line up either, where even when I was home, I'd get super motivated. I'm like, oh, I'm going to figure this one thing out. And then I'm like, oh, I got to stop and order more fittings, and it'll be a couple days before it comes in. And it's just how it goes. So.
Yeah. Well, in fact, the fuel system we have ordered for the truck is delayed from the manufacturer.
Yep.
So I'm not even sure when that's coming in.
Yep.
But
very cool.
Anyway.
Cool. Alrighty, well, I think we're going to sign off here. We may take Mark for a ride if he wants to go for a ride with Fiddy, and I'm sure he does if he's got time for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe motivate him a little bit more to get his truck done. So.
Believe me, I'm motivated.
I appreciate y'all checking out another video of mine, and I will catch you in the next one.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good weekend. You said Dynamax?
Dynamax bullets.
Okay.
They're technically a glass pack, but the company sells them and they call them mufflers. But it's so it is different in how it changes pitch, the way it changes pitch. It'll not only is the RPM building and getting louder or higher pitch, but the actual exhaust changes how it sounds as well.
So notice you put some switches in over here.
Those are steering wheel switches off of my donor steering wheel.
Okay. Like your cruise and stuff?
So that is just for the cluster. So normally you'd have the switches on the steering wheel.
Right.
And I cut apart the steering wheel and cut apart the housing of the switch, and then I mounted them here so I can control my switch on my cluster. I can go through all the menus like that.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
So I can get digital speedo, I can do trans temp, distance to empty isn't really accurate. I can cycle through anything I want to look at.
Okay.
I can do the miles per gallon average page and all that good stuff, just like the factory does.
All right. Very nice. So what's the red and blue?
The red and blue are light indicators for the fans.
Okay.
So that's low speed fan, and then that's high speed fan.
Okay.
And actually the lights aren't hooked up right now. But
I always hate this exit right here.
well, actually, when I came in, they put me into that church the way my GPS took me.
Yeah. You have to come up.
And I was behind the buildings, and it's like, you're here. And I'm like, there's nothing here. But behind the church and behind the shop. Like, that's not where I was trying to be. So on the drive over here, I had a couple little hiccup misfires, and I'm thinking that my E85 is getting a little old.
That's a little different.
So that is this particular overhead console's out of an Expedition, and they had factory AC controls here for the rear AC.
Got it. Yeah.
So that's just exhaust is dumped just in front of the axle.
Okay.
And it burbles and does all kinds of fun
It
noises.
sounds mean in here.
It's very lively. And the way the tune is set up, it'll do like engine braking as if it's a manual.
Okay.
So without doing anything about let off here, it's
Yeah, you
engine
can feel
braking and you can feel it
Yeah.
downshift just like a manual would, and has that engine braking feel too.
That is nice. That is very nice.
Very slick little setup.
I noticed you had your tune sticker back here on the window. Is
Yes.
that who did it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Are they
5-star.
local?
No. That's email-based tuning.
Okay.
They're actually in South Carolina, I think, North Carolina, one of the Carolinas.
Okay.
At some point, if I have nothing better to do and I want to drive my truck out there, I could do more tuning in person. But I've been pretty happy with the live tuning, the tuning they did do.
Yeah, because we were looking for a tune shop here local. We didn't really find much.
And again, I did my swap prior to all the EPA diesel roundup stuff. Where
That's fixed to change.
Where they crack down on all the aftermarket tuners.
Right.
Because things like turning off certain things that I don't have,
Right.
things like that make it a little bit more difficult.
Right. Man, you can never get tired of that.
I mean, I don't need a radio. I mean, you know,
No, because you'd have to have something that would drown that out.
yes, you need more than that.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have a modern radio for doing Bluetooth calls.
Right.
But again, I'd still have to be louder than that.
Yeah.
I usually just try not to talk on the phone when I'm driving,
Well,
in this truck specifically.
At this point, with what you've done, I think the only thing, the value would just be having a navigation screen.
Navigation screen would be nice, although without anything there, I do that. And it works until I hit wide open throttle, and then it comes flying out, bounces all over the place.
Yeah, but you could probably fabricate some little.
I'm sure I could, but yeah, that would be nice to do something. I actually found a really nice single din that has a decent screen on it. Because these trucks have, as you know, is a din and a half,
Right.
and they just don't.
You have to trim the top
Yeah.
edge. So what I did, which you probably saw, of course you've got your gauges here,
Right.
but I just mounted a socket holder right there,
Yeah.
and so I just clip my phone into it.
Toss it up on the
It
edge.
just sits right there.
Yep. And since you don't have the shifter here,
Right.
it's not in your way.
Right. Now in the black truck that I have, I do have the column shifter, and it is in the way.
Yeah.
But so what was your best ET on this that you said?
13.5.
Okay.
And that was before I did weight reduction on both brakes, front and rear.
Okay.
It has gotten quite a bit spicier especially with the front brakes, because I'm not saving nearly 50 pounds, and of that was not all of that was rolling mass, but it was about 25 pounds of rolling mass that I pulled off the front end of this thing. So when I get on it, especially from a stop, I can feel how much lighter it feels on its feet to get it moving.
So what do you think you do now? Maybe a flat 13?
I don't know. I don't think it's that much. I'm guessing it's probably about 13.2 right now. But we'll see. It's one of the things I want to do this spring is do some more testing on that. See what I can get going.
Very nice.
So I mean, and I was like literally just setting my foot on the gas. So it has plenty of drivability with the 6-speed. Honestly, I think that's the bigger difference of the modern drivetrains is the transmissions. I mean, obviously the engine makes more power than the modulars do, but
Right.
the biggest difference is having more gear ratios, so you're always in the power band.
Well, that's one of the things I love about a manual.
Yeah.
Is you can keep
You can
the
control
engine in the power band. Yeah. I've always had manual transmission cars my whole life. I've only had a couple of automatics. big van that was automatic. But other than that, I've always had manual shift cars.
Yeah.
I'm even toying around with the idea of converting my black F-150 to a manual transmission. Just because I like it that much.
I would say if you're going to do anything to that one, I would do a 6 or 80 swap.
Think so?
Yeah. You still have the drivability convenience of having an automatic. I know you like or prefer manuals, but having a modern transmission behind that 5.4 would really
Make a difference.
make a difference in drivability.
Yeah.
Ooh, little Cowboys Super Crew, how cute.
Yeah, I won't give you my opinion on that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, and that's probably a good recommendation too, because I'm not the only one that drives it.
Yep.
My wife will drive it occasionally.
And it would also, at whatever point you're ready to turn it loose, I think manual transmissions are
more difficult.
To sell,
Right.
because
Yeah.
no one knows how to drive them anymore.
Well, the red truck, kind of like what you did with this is your truck. You bought it.
Right. Yep.
The red truck will always be my truck.
Yep.
I will never sell that. That will stay in the family, hopefully, after I'm gone. So.
I was half throttle, by the way.
Yeah, there's wow. So what kind of hookup do you get when you go wide open?
It does not spin, but I'm running a pretty sticky tire on
Yeah.
it, and it hooks up pretty well. It doesn't with this, and your engine has the boss intake, which is even more RPM, higher RPM type of intake, right? So it's designed for flowing a lot of air at high RPM and not designed for low end torque. And so my truck, from a dead standstill, like, it doesn't make enough power. That's full lock. I don't know quite make that on the ground clearance.
So do you get a lot of people rolling up alongside of you wanting to go for it?
See, yes and no. It's funny because the people that want to race me are the slow cars because they think my truck's slow.
Right.
That's the sleeper aspect, you know. I had a Scion or a FRS, which now is called it's a Toyota little sports car. It's like a Miata equivalent of Toyota. I had one try to race me a while back, and I completely walked away from him like nobody's business. Because that's like a 15-second car, like a low 15-second car. And I just destroyed him and hurt his feelings. And he pulls up to me at the next light, and he's like, "What the hell's done to your truck that you like just walked away from me? Like, you're a truck, 4 doors, and this is a 2-door sports car." And I was like, "Yeah, it's Coyote swapped." He's like, "I don't know what that means, but that's awesome. It's fast." It hooks up nice. The 4-link really helps control the axle, helps you put down the power. And that was a 2-1 downshift, so the way it rolls on the power, it jumps right into the power band, so it's more likely to spin on the 2-1 versus from a dead standstill launching in first, you have to work your way up into the power band, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That was impressive.
She moves. She moves.
That was impressive.
And she will pull like that well into triple digits too. It's not like it's a one-trick pony like the 5.4. You're like, first gear's great, second gear's okay, and then third gear nobody's home.
So let's caveat that, of course, you did this in Mexico.
Right.
Not in the United States, because we would never violate the law in the United States.
We went exactly to the speed limit, and that was it.
Yes.
And it was not an exhibition of acceleration either. It was just an acceleration.
Right. But when you go to Mexico,
Right. very similar powertrain in a very similar truck, exactly like this one, that it could go 120 and not slow down from there. My personal comfort level in these trucks, safety is not a strong suit of this generation truck.
Yeah, I agree.
I also don't have ABS, and I also don't have airbags.
Yeah.
So if something were to happen, I would be in much more dire of situation. But it has been 120 before.
Okay. All right.
In Mexico, of course.
In Mexico, yes. That's right.
And that's about where I feel comfortable of practically. It's like if I rack it 120, this truck is just gonna explode in a million pieces. Like there's not like a you're walked away from it. It's just there's nothing left. So
what do you think it would do if you just got crazy?
If I took it to somewhere on a closed course,
Right.
I've thought about doing the Texas Mile with it, and I would imagine it would probably do, if I topped it out, it'd probably do 130, 140, something like that. But
Yeah, because you're up against aerodynamics and that.
aerodynamics and weight, and I think it would do it about 140 would probably be the absolute max this would want to go. And again, it's a truck. It's not designed for that at all.
Right, yeah. Well, in Mexico, all of the fun is really between 60 and 90.
Yes. Or stoplight to stoplight.
Right. And it's a little firm, but it doesn't ride bad. You
Yeah.
get used to it.
You get used to it. It's comfortable. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not jarring. But again, I have probably, not counting the brakes, just in suspension, I probably have 4,500 in parts in suspension in it. So it's not just a run-of-your-mill,
Right.
throw some springs on it and send it.
Right, yeah.
No offense to your your self-proclaimed
My
poverty build.
Poverty build. That's right. Yeah. I'm in the presence of greatness here, so yeah. I know there's more I'm going to do to my build as time goes on.
It takes time, man. I talk to people at car shows like oh, you know, like the build just in the drivetrain was 2 years.
Yeah.
I've owned the truck for 25 years, or 22 now, I guess. I've owned the truck for over 20 years, so there's lots of little things that I've done over the years, and it all adds up to that, to the final form, I guess,
Right.
you could call it. But
Yeah, I kind of feel like you do on paint job. The quality that I would want, I don't know if I have the budget for it. You know?
yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
You see that? We hit the speed limit.
Yes, we went right up to the speed limit. I was watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that was on the big side, what I wanted to do on bump wise. Because I just don't have a lot of travel. I have a lot of travel, but I don't have a lot of ground clearance. And I have a really expensive, rare Harley-Davidson valence on the front of this thing that is impossible to replace. So try not to bottom out.
That is one of the bad things about building this generation of truck.
Yes.
Is there's not a lot of aftermarket parts
Yep.
for things like that. You know, you got to go scout the wrecking yards or shop
And
online.
then you can do this too.
We really are just big children.
I'm just a kid. Just a kid having fun.
Yeah. So what does your wife think of the volume level of this truck?
She doesn't really like going for rides in it. She'll tolerate it for short distances, but
Yeah.
she's not one that wants to go to every car show with me or anything like that. She's kind of been my thing, I do my thing, and she does her thing, and at least on that. We do share a lot of other interests in common, but she's never been big on the car scene, and that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, same for my wife. She would probably go to car shows with me, but
Yeah, and when I had the same setup before I did the long tubes. So I had F-150 second gen cats on it originally when I first did the swap, and it was 2.5-inch exhaust, and it was more on the daily driver side. When I went to long tubes and the full open exhaust and 3-inch, it's just a lot louder. There's more air moving. Yeah. This is about the loudest I would want to tolerate in my personal vehicle, because it's on that borderline. Like, it's enjoyable, but if I daily drove this, it'd be too much. Yeah. You know, it's just a little bit too loud where you have to raise your voice to talk, right, where you can't quite have a phone conversation or anything like that. It's just right on the. Yeah.
You want to go up and loop back around.
Yep. So it's just right on that bubble of just. It's fun, but it's on going towards that. That's what I talk about with other stuff too. Like, yeah, it's fun as it is. I don't feel like I need a supercharger. I feel like it's pretty well balanced. It's plenty of fun. Yeah. Would it be cool to be another 200 horsepower faster? Sure.
I don't think you need it.
I don't know that I need it.
No, you don't. And that kind of solves the question for me, because I've thought about that too for my build.
And then the truck just gets heavier, and I've been doing so much to cut weight out of the truck, it seems counterintuitive. Even if I'm making more power, it seems counterintuitive to add more weight back to it.
Yeah.
You know, I set up this suspension with these spring rates, and I specifically had the truck at this weight level, and then I've done a little bit of weight loss since then.
So what is your weight on this truck, you know?
About 4,600 pounds.
That's really good.
Which is really impressive for this generation, and that's with the heavy fiberglass bed cover on it. It should be maybe 4,650, I think, but without me in it, obviously. But
that's still really good.
Yeah,
really good.
I hate to.
What was factory weight? More like 5,200?
Probably 4,900 would be my guess on the two-wheel drives, and then with the bed cover, obviously you're adding another 80 or 100 pounds or something like that. And,
yeah,
you know, so probably about 5,000. And the drivetrain is lighter because it's aluminum block instead of cast iron. Right. And then I've done a lot of suspension mods that have cut weight out of it too.
Patrick,
it's been a pleasure.
Man, it was wonderful. I appreciate it.
I'm sure we'll be in touch.